beach, and that will be a huge advantage.
Well, he milked it for all it was worth, but there are a number of collisions within that wave. A couple of the guys went right over the top of each other, and there was about 10 of them in there altogether, some of them buried in the white water. Casting a look around there and doing some ducking and weaving is Simon Knowles from Victoria. He did Europe this year, won at Carlsbad in Czechoslovakia, not one of the major world meets, but also did the European Channel Challenge. His best years in this series were in 94 and 95, but he was a write-off last year due to illness and injury. Had a viral infection, and that basically ruled him out of the series. But he's determined to do better this time, and he is first out of the water. They're streaming forward now. Brad Bevan is also prominent there, but he's not amongst the top couple. Simon Knowles is there.
Greg Bennett, Locke Volmerhouse, and I think leading them out at the moment, it looks like, I believe it's
Jason Meadows.
It's Jace Meadows, so he's had a fantastic swim as well.
Jason Meadows picked up a wave ahead of Greg Bennett. There is Locke Volmerhouse along with Simon Knowles. Chippy Slater is also following that group. Troy Fiddler is up there as well. Frank Clark had a good swim. Jerome Sanson, not as prominent as we would have thought. Stewart is back in the pack with Jamie Hutt from New Zealand. Also Shane Reed and the big one, the big fella from the United States, Glenn Mangum.
Well, that just shows how much a difference catching a wave can make. We did have some very good swimmers up there, but they've split the field.
A chaotic transition, and it's tough, but Di Holden, what can you make out from all that?
Well, it's bedlam down here again, but Greg Bennett got away well, as did Locke Volmerhouse, and the rest of them are just coming in now.
Out on the bike course, and typically the men will form bunches. There are 28 competitors, and they will all, once they've settled their feet into the bike shoes, form a pack. But the size of the packs will depend a lot on just how much the swim sorted them out. Looks like we've got a leading pack of about 9 or 10 first up. That'll include Meadows, Volmerhouse, Bennett. Brad Bevan was up there, Simon Knowles. These are the placings out of transition, and according to the computer, Paul O'Brien, he's a story in himself, was also up with that leading bunch. The reason Paul O'Brien is in this series was through a wild card, and he won that wild card by being a finalist in the Beat the Croc competition last season. I mentioned earlier in the program, this year you have to beat Greg Welch in the viewers competition. Well, last year it was Brad Bevan, and Paul O'Brien managed to get within 15 seconds of him. He was so impressive, in fact it took Brad a long time to run him down, that the organisers have decided to give Paul a chance in the big time. So if he is in fact up in that leading bunch, it's a marvellous achievement. Stewart was some distance back, but out of transition he's moved up to about 7th place. He is certainly one to keep an eye on. Greg Welch has had a very difficult swim, and he's back in about 19th position at the moment. Notoriously slow starter in the series, but nevertheless Welchie is very well prepared and would have been very disappointed with that. But right now we see a leading bunch containing Jason Meadows, Greg Bennett, Brad Bevan, Paul O'Brien, Locke Volmerhouse, Simon Knowles. Now Miles Stewart is in a bunch about 3 seconds behind them, and that contains Chris Hill, former World Junior Champion and a credible 5th in the International Grand Prix Series. Great performance, that conducted of course in Europe and the United States. Troy Fiddler is up there as well. Andrew Noble, Jerome Sanson and Jamie Hutt from New Zealand, one of the new competitors, the new faces in 1997, as is Shane Reed, a youngster who came to prominence when he finished 2nd in the Australian titles in Mooloolaba early last year, and is a training partner of Miles Stewart. In fact, Miles was the only person not surprised by that result. Here they are now, and there is the leading bunch.
Well, that's Meadows out in front still. He's had a very good season overseas this year. He's gone over and competed in places like France for the last 4 seasons, and he's in good form, and he is working by himself out in front. I would imagine he'd be waiting for the pack to catch him, but he's riding so strongly that he's actually staying out there.
Well, Jace Meadows has a habit of this type of thing, because when he and Jason Harper were racing in the series together a couple of years back, they nicknamed each other B1 and B2, and were often making daring breaks on the bike to crack the field, and they're doing that once again. Meadows, 24-year-old from Cronulla, is actually a male model in a lot of his spare time. Finished very strongly on the French Iron Tour, which is a little like the Tour de France of triathlon, and a very similar type of sprint event daily. So he certainly has the pedigree, and has been a member of the Grand Prix series for the last of its 3 years. There's Noble trying to pick up some pace there with the group on the bike. Quite spread out at this stage, so not forming the serious packs that we thought they might. But nevertheless, the leading pack is the one we're concentrating on. There's a stack.
It's Darren Carnell. Darren Carnell has come down on the corner. We've said before that bike skills are very, very important in this type of racing. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he's come down and he will have lost about 5 seconds just in the fall, and then you've got the effect that it has on your body. Even though it might not be a major fall, it does hurt, and then you'd be thinking all the way along, oh, I made a mistake, I've lost the time.
Technical turns here, as you can see, and the danger is that if you lean the bike over too far, the pedal on a triathlon bike is a lot lower to the ground than your average bike, and therefore just one little miscalculation, your pedal's going to clip the tar and down you go.
Well, that's one of the dangers of this sport. And out in front still, I think we have Jason Meadows riding extremely strongly. The computer is indicating that also Andrew Johns is doing very well. We've got Bevan and Knowles. So Knowles and Metters are working together at the moment, with Brad Bevan currently holding down third. Well,
you can't keep him out of the game, can you? Brad Bevan lurking behind as usual. This time last year, Bevan was not one of the consistent winners on the tour, but still outplaced everybody overall. We'll go to a break now in round one of the St George Bank Triathlon GP for 97, and there are your leaders. Metters from Bevan, O'Brien, sensational performance. Greg Bennett, look out. In the second group, we've got Volmer House, Miles Stewart. If he can get closer, he'll be hard to beat. We'll be back. Welcome back. You're watching round one of the 97 St George Bank Triathlon GP, and there are your leaders in the first of our triple super sprints. A collection of riders on the bike. Up there with them, Greg Bennett, Jason Metters, Brad Bevan, defending champion and three-time winner, Paul O'Brien, the youngster, who really entered this race via a competition. So I guess it goes to prove that anyone watching at home can be a part of the GP if you're good enough. Chippy Slater is up there as well after a good swim. Andrew Noble, Mark, good performance from him.
It certainly is. Andrew Noble has obviously worked very, very hard on his swim leg over the last few months. He won the World Triathlon title over in Italy about 4 months ago. He's come back and he has set himself a goal of performing well here in the St George Grand Prix, and there he is out in front of the pack at the moment, actually leading this race. Normally he would have come out of a swim like that 1 or 2 minutes behind, and he's certainly improved his swim out of sight.
Well, right now we're going to try and cross to our bike cam man Sean Vale, who is tacking onto the leaders. Sean, how does it look from there?
Okay, the second pack is just catching up now. The pace is really on. This must be a good 30% harder than the girls. I'm heading north.
Okay, well, there it is. Very, very fierce pace, according to Sean, who's a noted cyclist. And one of the things that, of course, separates the triathlon cyclists from your competitive Olympic cyclists and so on is mainly a technical matter. And this is quite a technical course, so it'll be interesting to see how a lot of them negotiate it. There are some of the familiar names on the backs of the costumes there. Loch Volmer House is up there. O'Brien still hanging in the middle of the pack. Chippy Slater there with Miles Stewart, who's tacked onto the pack, but Brad Bevan is taking a turn in front right now with Metters and Noble just behind him. Also in that pack is Simon Knowles. Now the next pack is Troy Fiddler with Chris Hill, and these are the people who have some work to do. Smith is there with them. Greg Welch is in the second pack, so he is going to have to try and get that pack closer to the first, and then of course run like the proverbial to catch up with the leaders. Jamie Hunter's there. He's a very strong runner. Darren Carnell is there. Eamon Nunn, Jerome Sanson, Shane Reed. Marcus Ornelis has dropped right off the back. He's in a group with the German Daniel Simon, Ralph Zietzen of the Netherlands. Now, bearing in mind, some of these overseas athletes are really just getting a look at this series now. It's quite breathtaking if you're not used to it. So much a sprint. And most of these athletes would have been competing over much longer distances. Back there with them is Trent Chapman, the young Australian from the Panthers Tri Club. Hello, Penrith. Great to see you involved. And there is the second pack on screen with Greg Welch tacking on with him. Looks like Simon Knowles is back in that second pack. He certainly, according to ours, has dropped off. But we're back with the leaders now, where Bevan is in charge. Close up with him is the number 13, Jason Metters. He's been right up there all the way. Miles Stewart is lurking up there. He's done so well after a pretty